Just about 10:30 this morning, we got Gary Saurage from Gator Country here. We're talking about a story you probably have read online, have definitely heard about, Albert the alligator, who, I mean, there's a whole lot going into this story, right? Albert came from New York and was with a owner there for how many years?
34 years.
34 years that he was there, and then it was found out that he just wasn't being taken care of.
Well, what really happened was the guy didn't put in for his yearly permit in time, and that started the whole trouble for him.
Yeah.
And he got a little behind on that, and at that point, that's when they made a visit, and they didn't like the way the alligator looked, and said, you know what, he's got to go. Since then, just to give you the update, since he got to Beaumont, of course, I will tell you this, his health has turned around amazingly. And that's due to sunlight and being outside and being an alligator, right? Remember, he was kept in a pool for 34 years on an indoor pool, no direct sunlight. And what happened is the guy didn't heat the water. So let me give you a little education course. At 68 degrees, a process called brumation starts. That's the hibernation process. Well, most homes, we like 68 to 72 degrees, right?
Yeah.
That's too cool for an alligator. Now, they'll still feed in that, but that's right on there where they can't digest food properly, and it really gives a lot of health problems, especially the eyes, some of the neurological issues that it causes. And I guess the guy just simply didn't know it. But yeah, you can see Albert there. Look at his eyes. Look at the big swelling in the back. That's Eddie working with him. We like to get him around and get him moving. He's probably lost 40 pounds since he's been here in the last year. So
wow.
He's really trimmed up. He's doing well. He's moving around in his own pond. But anyway, what happened with the case was after they seized the alligator, and it's a court order to send him here to Beaumont, to Gator Country. We have a judge's court order to have him here. Well, the guy was able to show that he did send an email to their Fish and Game. So they reinstated and said, okay, we will look at giving you your permit back. Well, from that, when the judge just said that, he says he's getting Albert back. Just from that, okay? Come on, this is a different jurisdiction. We're in Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. So, you know, that's the issue. And for me, and talking to our heads with Parks and Wildlife, the problem is his enclosure. If the guy had made the changes that would make Albert better, you know, it might be looked at, but there's been nothing done. I mean, he lived in the same pool water for 10 years without changing. So that's kind of the update where we're at. The Fish and Game does have a 2-week extension. Now what they're gonna do, and they're gonna go into now about the mistreatment of the animal, and he was doing one more thing. He was letting the public get in and wade in the water with that 11-foot alligator.
Wow. Yeah.
And he put it on Facebook and all of that. So obviously their fishing game up there has a real issue with that. And I would imagine so. I know Texas Parks and Wildlife would have a real issue if I let someone do that.
Yeah.
So, but you can see Eddie feeding him there. We just give him great attention. I will say this about the alligator: would never try to bite you. He's known people all his life. It's just that the poor thing he's in bad shape. He's getting better every day, but it's going to take quite a long time.
So yeah, it also kind of comes down to his health whenever they're looking at this stuff, I'd have to imagine too, right? Because the state that he was in compared to where he's at now, you're talking about, it seems like it's almost landslide different.
Well, there's no question. And once again, the health issues of Albert hasn't been brought to the district judge up there yet. Only the lack in them getting their new permit.
Sure.
Now, when their Department of Conservation hits them this coming week with, we've got all the vet reports, we've got everything, we all did our job in this. And once they get to see the inhumane treatment of the animal, that's going to change the game. Even for people up in New York that are rooting for Albert to go back, once they see what really is wrong with this alligator, they'll get it.
Yeah, and there's many news outlets over there that have been covering this story, and they show the picture of the owner, and he has pictures of when Albert was small.
Right.
And it seems like truly a sad story, but considering the condition that he's been in, and then what he looks like now and in a habitat where he's supposed to be, it's just one of those things, where it's just one of those unfortunate stories.
Right. You know, the thing is, when you go to a zoo, you see these animals are in good shape. That's because people know the animal. I mean, it's like, if you have a dog or a cat, you know how to take care of those. The issue, there's so many things that go on the inside of an alligator, especially with heat and sunshine. If you keep an alligator cold for a long period of time, it really distresses that animal out. You'll notice here, they can be in there really cold for a few days. If it's cloud covering and stays cold for a couple of weeks, it really affects them bad. 1 or 2 cold days, they're fine, they get back in the sunshine. But over a period of 34 years at 68-degree temperature, that's a problem.
Absolutely.
And you said he lost weight.
He has lost weight. What happens when it's cold like that, it really slows their digestive system down. and they simply, I mean, they're cold-blooded reptiles anyway, but when you suppress that sunlight and you keep that warmth, all of those bony platelets on the back of theirs are called osteoderms. If you'll notice, see how bad his are right there?
Yeah.
What happens is when an alligator lays in the sun, they radiate. They're like a car radiator. They keep him warm. And at night, when he's got to go back in the water, he can slowly release the heat that he's gathered during the day. You see those button osteoderms?
Yeah.
Nowhere even right, not even close. So he's really, that's his main thing, is diet and sunshine that he didn't have.
Well, it kind of sounds like, obviously, we kind of know where you lie in the situation of what we want to happen, and hopefully, you know, gets to stay at Gator. What's the timeline look like? You said 2 weeks they're going to start looking at some of the paperwork?
There is. They kept us updated on Friday, and they said that there was an extension that their Department of Conservation got, and within 2 weeks they would know what that decision is. But I'm going to say this again. We're in Texas. I got a court order that says he's supposed to be in Texas.
Right.
Now what?
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
A lot goes into it, yeah.
I'd imagine it'd probably be pretty difficult to get him back up north. So
Yeah, we got a pretty good staff at Gator Country. I think Albert's in good hands.
He seems like it, yeah. And of course, you guys busy this week, so spring break.
Spring break is here. We are
goodness.
having an amazing spring break.
Good,
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, you still got time if kids are on spring break this week. We got to let Gary Saurage, he's got to get back to all the Gators this morning. So we appreciate you stopping by, though,
Absolutely.
and giving us a rundown.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. We'll have more ARC Southeast Texas still to come this morning. Stay with us.